What's up, YouTube? Tim Moose here. Now, here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, and 30 this week. All right, the film celebrating its 10th anniversary. Wow. We, of course, got the Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCartney classic, The Heat. Now, this was actually a Parfit's follow up to 2011's Bridesmaids, and of course, he reunited with Melissa McCartney, who had her big breakout in Bridesmaids. This time around, you had Melissa McCartney teaming up with Sandra Bullock here. If you don't know much about the story, the film does center on FBI Special Agent Sarah Ashburn and Boston detective Shannon Mullins, who must track down a mobster in Boston. And you had some other really decent supporting casts. You had Damien Bashir, Marlon Wayans, Michael Rappaport, Jane Curtin. Some really good cast members. I love The Heat. The chemistry between Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCartney is great. The humor is hilarious. I still wish they go ahead and do a sequel. I have no idea why Perfect hasn't done a sequel to this yet. Like, The Heat is just hands down terrific. If you guys never really seen The Heat, do yourself a favor, go watch it. Not sure if you can find it nowadays, but it is maybe one of the funniest comedies of that year. So, 2013, I've mentioned this before, but that was a really good year for comedies. We had This Is the End, The Heat, The World's End. I guess you could count with a Wash Ass comedy, but that's more like dark comedy, I guess. But still, talk about a great year that was of comedy. And The Heat was one of them. All right, also turning 10. Now, if you guys remember, back in 2013, there was two White House-based thrillers. One of which I talked about a couple of months ago, which was Olympus Has Fallen. But there was another one, and that was Roland Emmerich's White House Down. Now, White House Down starred Channing Tatum and Jamie Foxx, and it's about a divorced U.S. Capitol police officer who attempts to rescue both his daughter and the president of the U.S. when a destructive terrorist itself occurs in the White House. You also had Maggie Gyllenhaal, Joey King, Jason Clarke, the late great Lance Reddick, James Woods, Rich Jenkins. This movie got so much hate, but this may sound very unpopular. I prefer this over Olympus Has Fallen. I'm sorry. Olympus Has Fallen was decent. The sequels wasn't. But I just had a fun time with White House Down. It had, I loved, the action a little more. I like the humor in this. Jamie Foxx as a president of the United States. What more can you ask for there? Channing Tatum was great. The stuff, Roland Emmerich hasn't had anything good in the recent. Of course, he had Moonfall, Independence Day Resurgence. It's safe to say his career has been tumbling, but this is actually one of the few Roland Emmerich movies, other than Independence Day, I'll say, that I quite enjoy. So yeah, it's a shame this movie did not get much love, but to me, I prefer over Olympus Has Fallen, but that's just me. All right. Now, the film's turning 20. We got 28 Days Later, directed by Danny Boyle, written by Ex Machina director Alex Garland. And it stars Cillian Murphy. Of course, he'll be seeing Deers pretty soon with Oppenheimer. Here you have Cillian Murphy, who stars as his bike carrier who awakens from a coma to discover the ancient release of a highly contagious aggression, including virus that caused a breakdown of society. You also had Brendan Gleeson, Naomi Harris. Of course, they did do a sequel, which was 28 Weeks Later, which was previous to two. There's some talk about doing a third one, but I don't think that's ever happening, to be honest. But the original film is really good. Definitely had some interesting zombie looks to it. Danny Boyle directed this. I mean, he is a guy who gave us stuff like The Beach, Trainspotting 2, Slumdog. So seeing him do like a zombie apocalypse horror film is interesting. Written by Alex Garland, who of course did a great job with Ex Machina. Really good flick if you guys haven't seen it. All right. Also turning 20, we got Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. Once again, directed by McG, a follow-up to 2000's Charlie's Angels, which was, of course, based on a popular TV show here. And Charlie's Angels Full Throttle also returned the likes of Lucy Liu, Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz back as the Angels, who are ready to go undercover to retrieve two Mission Silver wedding bands containing valuable encryptic information. And you also had the likes of Robert Patrick, Shia LaBeouf, John Cleese, Bernie Mac was also in this, Demi Moore, Justin Theroux, original Charlie's Angels star Jacqueline Smith. So reprised her role in as Kelly Garrett. I believe Matt LeBlanc also was in this too. That's always really cool to see Joey popping up and stuff. Also, this is the day for unpopular opinions. I prefer Phil Dorado over the original. There, I said it. The original Charlie's Angels, the 2001, that is, the TV show is a classic. You guys ever seen that? But the 2000 Charlie's Angels movie, with Drew Barrymore, Lucy Liu, Cameron Diaz, I've enjoyed too. But the sequel, I just had more fun time with. Come on. Obviously, as a guy, one of the best parts of that scene is the Cameron Diaz and Demi Moore beach scene, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Of course, the late great Bernie Mac. I admit I prefer Bernie Mac in this over Bill Murray, and I love Bill Murray, but the late great Bernie Mac, of course, him playing Bosley was awesome casting. I mean, I would never. I remember saying that I would never expect Bernie Mac as Bosley, and he was great in this. Very young Shia LaBeouf was really good in this. I had a fun time with Full Draw. It's a shame this movie does not get, or even the 2001 don't get much love. But hey, it is what it is. They are pretty fun flicks. Okay. So, final film, turning 20. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. That is the iconic 2003 film, The Room. Not to be confused with the Brie Larson film. This is, of course, the classic Tommy Wiseau film. Of course, directed, executive produced, written by Tommy Wiseau, who also stars alongside Juliette Donnell, Greg Sestero. I think that's how you put it. I can never pronounce his last name too well. Of course, if you guys don't know much about the story, it is centered around like a melodramatic love triangle between this banker named Johnny, played by Wiseau, his fiancee Lisa, played by Donnell, and his conflicted best friend Mark, played by Cesario. And a significant portion of the film is dedicated to the series of unrelated subplots. I mean, let's get it out of the way. The Room is one of the greatest bad movies of all time. I mean, this movie is, it's not a good film, but it's always fun to watch. It has some really memorable lines. Obviously, you're tearing me apart, Lisa. Or the iconic line of, I did not hit her. It's bull. I did not. Hi, Mark. Boy, am I getting pretty good at doing a Tommy Wiseau impression? I mean, that's probably the only impression. It's a weird that the only good impression I could do is Tommy Wiseau. Yeah, but hey, I like Tommy Wiseau. I don't know why he's always a treat. Like his new movie, that Big Shark movie, looks so bad, but I kind of want to see that. And of course, if you guys don't know, there is actually a film and a book about the making of The Room, which was a disaster artist, which of course got turned into a 2017 movie with James Franco as Tommy Wiseau. And still, there was still no word on how Tommy Wiseau got the budget for this film and everything. Of course, majority of it was even, I guess you could say, an homage to James Dean, because the iconic line of "You're tearing me apart" was also a James Dean line in "Rebel Without Cause." So yeah, he really of course, the disaster artist will tell you Tommy Wiseau was really was really inspired by James Dean, I'm guessing. Uh, but yeah, this is a it's a great film. It's one of those. It's a movie that is so bad it's good, you know. And yeah, I've always got a kick out of the room. Get a couple of drinks. Get a couple of. They even have like late night screenings, which I'm not gonna lie, I gotta see this in there sometimes. I've never been to the screenings, but and actually there was supposed to be a screening today, but or Wednesday, but I had some stuff to do, so I didn't really get to go. But man, they ever do another screen, I really gotta watch The Room in theaters. I mean, that would be fun. Like the one theater down here, Village Cinema, almost every time they screen The Room, they always have a special guest of Tommy Wiseau. It'll be so cool to meet Tommy Wiseau in person. I will be asking a lot of questions about this, but yeah, and of course, you guys don't know Bob Odenkirk has been talked about doing a remake of this, which okay, that's something I never knew I needed, but hey, maybe it'll work. Who knows? All right, that's enough talk about The Room. Okay, now the films celebrating their 30th anniversary. We got Dennis the Menace. Now it Now, of course, this is based on the iconic, 50s, 40s TV show here. And Dennis the Menace was actually co-produced by John Hughes and was, believe it or not, directed by Nick Castle, who, if you guys don't know the name Nick Castle, he also directed The Last Starfire, yes. But he was also the original Michael Myers in 1978's Halloween. Who would ever expect a guy who pretty much terrorized kids and babysitters back in 1978 will go on to direct a kids film like this? Who would ever expect that? And you also had some other really cool cast members, like you had Walter Matthau, Mason Gamble, Amy Sazistik, Leah Thompson, Christopher Lloyd, Natasha Lyonne, Joan Plowright, Buzz from Home Alone himself, Devin Redtrade. And if you guys don't know what much about the SMS, it says the misadventures of this child played by Mason Gamble, who wreaks havoc on next door neighbor George Wilson, played by Walter Matthau, and he usually hangs out with his friends here. And it's actually a really fun, cute, charming film. Of course, the '90s had some really good, interesting childhood phase, whether featuring kids, whether you talk about Home Alone, whether you talk about the Little Rascals and all. Dance and Madness is definitely one of the fun ones. You can definitely tell this was of course co-produced by John Hughes, because it definitely has John Hughes feel to it. It's not a bad film, in my opinion. All right, also returning dirty. We of course got the romantic classic Sleepless and Seattle. Of course, directed by Nora Ephron. Of course, directed behind Julie and Julia, When Harry Met Sally. What else did she put out? Hanging Up, Michael, the not so great remake of Bewitched. And of course, this was actually the second time Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan starred together. Of course, the third time will be You've Got Mail. And Sleeping follows this journalist played by Ryan, despite being newly engaged, becomes enormous with a recently widowed architect played by Hanks. And when his son, of course, in on a talk radio program requesting a new partner for his grieving father. You also had the likes of Bill Pullman, Rob Reiner, Gabby Hoffman, Rosie O'Donnell, Rita Wilson. Some really good cast members. Of course, this has some really fun, iconic lines. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan has always had good chemistry. They first worked together on that movie Joe versus the Volcano, which I was never a fan of. Then, of course, they would go on to do this, and the third one will be You've Got Mail, which is iconic too. But of course, their best outing will always be Sleepless in Seattle. It's really cute. The chemistry between Hanks and Ryan is terrific. I mean, it's a really good film if you guys haven't seen it. But that's pretty much it. Let me ask you guys, which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one, well, I like White House Down, but the 10-year one has to be The Heat. Come on. The 20-year one, either I like Full Throttle, 20 Days Later. Either I don't choose bad films as the one that stands out to me the most. It has to be The Room. That's just one of the greatest bad movies of all time, you know? And the 30-year one, That's Menace is great, but I'm going with Sleepless to Seattle. Anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Sammy Sign.